creators, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's tutorial, I'll be teaching you on how to cut and sew a baggy trouser. So do stay tuned and watch to the end, and do not forget to leave a comment. I'll start by leaving 2 inches above the starting line before taking other necessary measurements. The 2 inches will serve as the elastic band. The next thing I'll do is to take the trouser length of 42 inches. I will add 2 inches allowance to fold the hem, and the total of everything will now be 44 inches. For baggy pants, we fold the fabric into 2 using the thigh measurement. We can say the thigh is the biggest part of our body when cutting the trouser block because it's always divided into 2, unlike the hip and waist which are divided into 4. Therefore, the thigh measurement I'll be working with is 28 inches, and half of that is 14 inches. Then I will add just 4 inches to it, and that is enough to make it baggy. So I have a total of 18 inches, and here is my 18 inches unfold. The only measurement I'll be needing for this baggy pant is the crotch depth. And to get the calculation for crotch depth, you divide your hip circumference by 4. So I'll place my tape measure 2 inches above the starting line. Then the hip circumference I'm working with is 44 inches. Quarter of that will give me 11 inches. And I'll add 1.5 inches for ease allowance. That will give me 12.5 inches. But since it's a baggy trouser, I will add extra 1 inch, and that will give me a total of 13.5 inches for the crotch depth. Then I will extend the line. I'll go further to mark the crotch extension at the open area of the fabric. And to get the crotch extension, I'll divide the hip measurement by 4, which is 11 inches. Then I'll divide the 11 inches again by 4, and that will equal to 2.75 inches. Then I can approximate it to 3 inches. I'll just mark 3 inches there and roll it up. So after that, I'll just come up. I can just come up by 2 or 2.5 inches, then form a curve to create the crotch curve. And for this thigh area, I'll just leave it straight since it's a free pant. Or you go in by 1.5 inches at the hemline and give it that kind of curve shape that we normally do. Next, now do is just cut it out and also cut open the side area all the way down. Here is the front panel. I'll be using the front panel to cut the back panel. My fabric is on a fold of 2 and I'll place the front panel on it. The fabric is way longer and wider than what is used for the front panel. At the upper part, I left 2 inches extra, so I'll mark the 2 inches here. At the crotch extension area, I'll mark 3 inches for the back crotch extension. And at the inseam here, I'll mark 2 inches all the way down. Then I'll connect all the dots together. I'll also connect the back crotch extension to the front crotch extension. I'll also come over here and mark 2 inches all the way down and form a crotch curve. And lastly, I'll slant the back waistline all the way to the side seam, then proceed to cut it out. Having done that, I'll come over to the side seam area, then I'll go down by 1 inch and notch. This is where we're going to place the pocket. I have here the front and the back panel. I've already gone ahead to close the crotch. I stitch this area. I have here these pieces that will serve as the pocket for the pant, and I have 4 pieces in all. For the pocket opening, I made use of 7 inches. You can make it wider than that. And for the length, I'll be using 11 inches, seam allowance inclusive. The next thing I'll do now is to stitch the pocket on the pant, and I'll just place a piece on the area that I notched, that 1 inch area that I notched. I'll place it and stitch it like this. I'll repeat the same process with the other pieces. That I'll place both the front and the back panel together and stitch the pocket this way. And this is what we have after sewing. Very easy and straightforward. I'll then go ahead to stitch the inseam with 1/2 inch. I'll start from the midpoint. I'll hold it together and make sure it aligns at the midpoint. Then I'll start the stitching from the midpoint and sew all the way down. Once I'm done with one side, I'll come over to the other side too and stitch from the midpoint all the way down with 1/2 inch. And here it is after sewing the necessary places. I'll just go ahead to finish up the hemline. Having done with the hemline, the next thing I want to work on is the waistband. And I've already measured what I have around the waist, and it's 62 inches. This long strip I have here is what I'll be using for the band, and it's as long as 62 inches plus some few inches for allowance. So on a fold of 2, I'll measure 31 inches. Remember I told you that the total waist measurement is 62 inches, and half of that will give me 31 inches. So I'll just mark the 31 inches right here. So this is my 31 inches, and the remaining will serve as the allowance for stitching. And for the width of the band, I'll be making use of 6 inches for the width. And by the time we fold it into 2, I'll be left with 3 inches. So 1/2 inch will serve as the sewing allowance, and the other 1/2 inch will serve as a kind of room for the elastic to relax well. So right now, we'll just try and find the midpoint of this width, and that is 3 inches. I'll just mark the 3 inches right there. Now you have to ignore this first 3 inches. We now have to work on this next 3 inches by dividing it into 3. You can see I've divided it into 3. We'll start our stitching from the top. We'll stitch right from here down to the first 1 inch. We ignore the next 1 inch, then stitch the remaining 1 inch down. I believe you understand. It's just for us to create our rope, because it's going to have a rope. So here I've already done it. Here it is. That is the space we left for the rope. So you now stitch that place down so that when passing the rope, it will be very convenient. Here's the band after giving it a good press. The next thing I'll do now is to fix it to the baggy pant. And I have to be mindful of how I place this band on the pant. This place here is the center, and it has to align with the baggy pants center front because it has a rope opening. Here is the pant and here is the band. We'll go ahead now to pin it round, pin the band round to the baggy pant. And this is my front, the center front, and it's going to align with the baggy pants center front. So just watch carefully how I'm going to be pinning this to the baggy pants. So I'll come here at the center front, the wrong side of the center front. I'm going to pin it to this band, and after pinning, I'll pin it round before sewing. And once that is done, I'll do it in such a way that the place that the rope is going to pass will still be at the center front. So this is it after sewing it around. Then we need to close up this part, the remaining parts, so that it will give us a very nice look. And this is it. Just fold like this. Arrange it well. Then fold with just half an inch. You can also hold the band down with pin. You pin it round before you sew the concluding part. And here it is. I left few inches for us to pass the elastic into the band. And that is what we'll be doing now. I'll be working with this 1-inch elastic, and it's as long as 31 inches. The waist I'm working with is 35 inches. I'll reduce it by 4, and that will give me 31 inches. I'll be making use of these 2 pieces of elastic, and I'll double it together. So that by the time I double it, it will give me 2 inches. So that was why I left 2 inches for the band. So here it is after sewing it together. I'll just pass the pin across. Then I'll pass it into the band. Once I bring the elastic out on the other side, I'll just place it on top of each other and stitch it very well. I'll stitch it like 2 times. After stitching, I'll just arrange the band properly and close this opening. What I'll do right now is to run some stitches on the elastic. The reason for this is because it adds beauty to it. Then number 2, it prevents the elastic from shifting or turning or folding all around. I'll run like 2 or 3 lines on the elastic. You can decide to do more than 2. And you have to be mindful of the rope opening, the place where the rope is going to pass. You have to be mindful of that place. You don't stitch on that place. Before I proceed with the sewing, I'll make sure to arrange the band very well. I'll make sure that the rumpleness is even. And after that, once I notice it's even, I'll try and, pin it on 4 sides. 1 pin on each side and another pin on the front and the back before stitching. And here is the finished look after all the sewing. The only thing left now is to insert the rope through the rope opening. Here is my rope. It's as long as 80 inches. As usual, I'll use the safety pin. And before you insert it, because it will be a little bit difficult, make sure you tape it with the paper tape. Because at times when you're passing it through, it could open. That means you have to start all over again. But once you use the paper tape, you're good to go. And that will be all for today's tutorial. I hope you really enjoyed it. Till I come your way next time. Bye.